You rolling?
Yeah.
What's up? We're on location on the observation deck. Today we're making a sandwich, a really special sandwich called a shooter sandwich. Takes a little bit of preparation, but it's a pretty awesome way of meal prepping. So let's get into it. The weights will come in handy later. I'm not just doing that. First we're gonna start with any sort of round of bread. You can do this any size, like any size you can find a round of bread. You just need to use more ingredients, obviously. So I'm just gonna cut the top off of this with not a bread knife, which is...
I can't see you.
What?
I said I can't see you.
Hold on. Gonna go in circles like this and not cut your hand, not even once, till you get all the way through. And then I'm just gonna leave the top as it is, but the center, we're gonna dig this out like you're making a bread bowl. And you can save the bread for croutons or bread pudding. I don't know how to make bread pudding. Bird food, yeah. Just a late night snack if you want to go to the fridge and just eat some loose bread. And you're basically just going down to, I don't know, like maybe ½ an inch between the crust and the bread. You're just trying to get as much space in here as possible because we're gonna stuff this bread. So there's our bread, and we'll just set that aside for now. Next thing, whoa, let me get this out of the way. Get our burner back. So traditionally this sandwich is made with steak. You can use any meat that you want, but we are gonna use steak today. I found chuck steak was on sale, so I got that. I sous vide my steak. We could do an entire episode on how to prepare steak, but for now, let's just say it's steak. Because I sous vide mine, now I gotta sear it. I'm gonna get this going pretty high, like medium high, because it's cooked all the way through at the perfect temperature. We just need to put a crust on the outside. Now with this chuck steak, I bought these giant steaks that had big pieces of fat and gristle in the middle of them. So I ended up trimming it all down, which means that we're going to sort of puzzle piece the steak together inside the sandwich. I mean, if you wanted to be a real Brian, I guess you could like find a giant steak with very little fat and gristle and then just grill that whole thing and then cut it to the perfect shape of the inside of the bread, but I don't know, that's pretentious. So we're just gonna piece it together. But first I'm gonna dry these off. I'm gonna put a little bit of avocado oil here in the pan, maybe a teaspoon. And we're just gonna let that heat up for a couple minutes. All right, this is real hot. So in goes one. And again, this is sous vide, so this doesn't look that great at all. Just looks sort of gray, but because we cooked the center first and now we're cooking the exterior. And this is a real short time. Like I said, we're just trying to put a crust on the outside. We're not even trying to get it warm all the way through because this is a revenge sandwich served cold. There's a little crust there. If you don't want to be a heathen, I guess you don't have to use your hand to fucking push it down. You can use tongs or something, but we're on location, so we're ill-prepared, and I didn't bring tongs. There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna call it. I think that's good enough for me. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this on medium-low and just leave all the steak juice in there. Now we're gonna get the other part of the sandwich filling going, which is sauteed mushrooms and onions. And I'm gonna use, there's like 14 ounces in this bag, so I'm gonna use about 8 ounces of cremini mushrooms, and you can use whatever kind you want, it doesn't matter. Let's see.
Cremini?
Cremini.
Cremini?
C-R-I-M-I-N-I. Cremini. Which I think are...
Just out of jail?
No, I was kidding. Yeah, no, I think they're the same thing as a baby portobello mushroom. I think they grow up to be portobellos.
Gotcha.
Here we go. And you're just trying to dice these as small as possible, but don't worry about them being too uniform. People get kind of hung up on that sometimes. What you don't want is like a bunch of tiny pieces and then half a mushroom. But if they're all, you know, on some sort of scale of, you know, like 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch or whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna toss these into the pan as I cut them. There are some foods where you want a really consistent dice. You know, you want consistent sizes for consistent texture. But I think with, I would say most foods, the nice part is having the variance in texture. So you have some pieces that are smaller and crispier, some pieces that are bigger and juicier, depending on what it is. But yeah, don't get too hung up on making sure it's all the same size. I've only seriously cut my finger maybe twice using a knife. So not bad, I guess. One of the worst times that I cut my finger was on a can of, I think it was a can of sliced olives, actually. And it was also the only time that I've ever fainted, which was even more embarrassing, yeah. I cut my finger open on the lid of the can, and I'm standing there rinsing it out, rinsing the cut out at the kitchen sink, and all of a sudden I couldn't feel my limbs, and I just fell backwards.
Cool.
So, yeah, I don't eat olives anymore.
What about green olives?
Oh yeah, green olives all day. They've never betrayed me.
That's right.
Have you had the green olives stuffed with blue cheese?
No.
You like blue cheese, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Those are the best. Huh, I was wondering why that wasn't cooking very fast. It turned off. Huh. I'm gonna add a little bit more butter to this. Thought there was still enough oil in the pan, but a little more won't hurt. Okay, while that's going, we will dice up our onion. So we're gonna cut the top end off, and then cut it in half lengthways, and then
de-shell it.
De-shell it, yeah. This spicy mollusk. There we go, there it is. Oh! God, it's like trying to peel a string cheese, or a Slim Jim. When your hands are all sweaty and you're just trying to eat the jerky.
That's usually when I eat jerky, is when I'm really sweaty.
Well, your hands are so sweaty from the jerky you just got done eating.
Got the jerky sweat.
Okay, so I'm not really going to go over how to do this, but you can watch and get an idea. You can also just go crazy and start chopping this up. It'll take longer, but if you've never done it this way before, it might be better to just go with that route. So I'm actually just going to use half this onion. The whole thing would be too much. So like I said, about 8 ounces of mushrooms and half an onion. Maybe a little less than half because you're going to spill it all over your table. Motion sensor light just came on. That's just been a bug. So.
You sure it wasn't a demon?
Must have been a quiet demon. So this just has to saute for, I mean really the longer the better, but you can turn it up to like medium heat and just really get it going. So we'll just let this sit for, I don't know, let's shoot for like 10 minutes and we'll come back. Cool. Alright, so while those are sauteing, we'll go ahead and make the sauce that we're going to put on here. I think most shooter sandwich recipes call for Dijon mustard. And I don't have any, and I didn't feel like buying any, so what I'm going to do is mix maybe like 2 tablespoons of mustard. And then I've got this Chinese mustard. It's mustard with horseradish in it. And I'm going to mix like a tablespoon of that. And then about a packed tablespoon of brown sugar. So it's going to be little sour, a little spicy, and a little sweet. And these are kind of just guidelines. I mean, the shooter sandwich it's its own thing. You know, it's usually steak, mushrooms and onions, and some sort of mustard or other condiment. But really, it's just like any other sandwich. You can put whatever you want on it. So you could do mayonnaise instead of mustard, or mayonnaise mixed with the mustard. What's really cool about the shooter sandwich is it's called the shooter sandwich because it was invented, or I guess like developed. I don't think anybody sits down and they're like, I'm gonna invent a sandwich today, but it was developed for hunters in the Edwardian era, which was like 19th century, right? Does that sound right?
Something like that.
I think that came before Victorian.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We're not from there.
Yeah, I don't study history.
We're not from history, so.
Yeah. Or not that part at least. So it was developed for hunters as a portable food. And you'll see why here in just a second. So that's our sauce. Let me make sure that tastes okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So what we're gonna do is get our bread back. And we're just gonna coat the inside of this bread with this sauce that we made. And you wanna get it everywhere in there. In fact, I probably should have made a little bit more. So I'm making sure to get this inside edge too. The bottom. And then we're gonna get the top too. And now, we're gonna put our steak in here. And you're gonna have to kind of jam it in there. I'll save that piece for the top. So you wanna press it in, just make sure it's fitting in there. And then, you know, these could saute for a little bit longer, but it also won't hurt if we use them as they are. So, let's see. Just dump these in there. You really want to press this down as you're pouring the sauteed mushrooms and onions in there. You want to push it into the corners of the sandwich and really get as much as possible. And let's see. See, I think even what we cooked was a little too much. So yeah, we could even, let's half that recipe that I did earlier. So like 4 ounces of mushrooms and 1/4 of an onion. So now we gotta try and fit this in here. There we go. And this goes right back on top. Then let me grab some plastic wrap and some tin foil, and we'll get to the next part. So we're just gonna get a little saran wrap. And one more piece. You're not trying to seal it airtight or anything. This is be real loose. And then we're going to take probably the last of my tin foil. Yeah. And let's do it this way. And you're basically just gonna wrap it all around like this and set it on whatever kind of baking sheet, or if you have 2 cutting boards, you can do 2 cutting boards. But you're basically gonna take a cutting board and just smush it down as much as you can, just trying to flatten it out on the top while keeping it somewhat level. And then, you're gonna take a couple of these. Whoa. So that's 10 pounds, which is probably excessive. You probably don't need 10 pounds. You can also just use, you know, you can put your cutting board on there and then you could just stack like canned food, whatever, anything heavy you got. Make some room in your fridge, and then you just set this in there for, I would just say overnight. I mean, make it the night before, stick it in the fridge, and it's ready in the morning. But we'll move this aside, and I have one that we prepared. Let's open this up. This one I made a little differently. I think the only difference is I added goat cheese to this one. So this is gonna be your end product. Nice and flat, it's dense. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Looks killer. Let's try some. So this is how you cut it. You want to cut it into wedges when you're ready to cut it. So you can see we've got steak, mushroom and onion. There's some of the goat cheese, some of the mustard. You want to try some too?
Sure.
I can't fit. Oh yeah.
Pretty nice, huh?
Cheers.
Mmm. There's a lot in there.
Yeah, the steak is so good.
Mm-hmm.
Make them speechless.
Yeah.
Just because it's really like a big bite.
But yeah, this makes like, I mean, this is at least 6 servings, I would say. So this could be, I mean, if you make a side with this, this is like lunch for an entire week, you know. When I was making it too, this is only my 2nd or 3rd time making this, I was kind of worried about like, I don't know why, you're stuffing all this stuff in there. I worry that when you cut into it, it's just gonna fall apart. But when you weigh it down like that, it just compacts everything.
Yeah.
And because it's refrigerated, it just makes it solid.
Very good.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Whew. I haven't had red meat in a while. Pretty heavy.
Heavy. The sandwich works out.
You like the goat cheese?
I don't like goats really.
But I like what they produce. I like what they're selling, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I like it.
Shoot your sandwich.
There it is.
Bang, bang.
Bang, bang.
Good Lord.
Any last words?
Oh. Oh no, what should we make next time? Chicken wings?
I already did fried chicken, kind of.
Yeah. If only there were more types of food that I could think of right now. So what should we make next? I'm gonna finish eating. Oh, you're still here. If you like our videos, press the like button. If you like our videos, I'm sorry, but this show is in a committed relationship. If you're feeling committed, you can go ahead and press the subscribe button. If you have an idea of what we should cook next, go ahead and leave us a comment down below. If that's all, I've got some light reading to do.